Hello everybody, hi again. We did a quick little what's in the box earlier, so there's some new bits come into the shop. So yeah, I've kind of sorted that out and come running on over to do a little bit of block of the week for you. So happy Wednesday. The sun is out, it's positively warm out there. It's not hot, but it's warm, which is lovely. Apparently it's going to be rubbish over the weekend, which is just typical, absolutely typical, because Sarah and I are going away with our hubbies, and yeah, no, weather's going to, apparently there's a storm on Sunday. Yay. We're going to need that log fire, aren't we? So hopefully you're all okay. Hopefully everybody's all right. Alex is, he's going to be having to look between the camera and the phone for comments. So is it coming up yet? Are we actually live?
Yeah, there's
people
people
there.
here.
People here. He's just trying to work it out so we can get your comments. For some reason, Facebook has changed some algorithm again, and we're not getting your comments, and yet we can watch them on the another device, on a laptop or whatever. So, sorry, excuse me. My nose is really itchy because I've just dusted down all the bits and pieces. So lots of new things in the shop, which you saw earlier in the what's in the box. I'm going to keep the mystery box running as well. Lots of you already gone for it, but there are a few left, so I'm going to keep that running as well today. I know we normally only do mystery boxes for 24 hours, but I'm going to keep it running till tomorrow, this time tomorrow. So if anybody fancies a mystery box, so you've got £20 worth of fabric, actually over £20 worth of fabric, for £10. So you get 5 fat quarters and 3 half meters in the box, and it's a random selection. Okay, so some of you might have already had them this morning because we posted a load out yesterday, so you might have already had some, but there are a few left if anybody wants them. What else have I got to tell you? I think that's it. I don't think there's any other news. I've got some new bits to show you, but they're in conjunction with what we're going to do today, so I'll go through those in a moment. So what we're going to I thought we'd talk about today is low volume. It's a bit of a new sort of, not newish trend. It's been around a couple of years or so, but it's kind of a newish thing in quilting. And what we mean by low volume is fabrics that have got, are tonally, have got very little intensity. So a bright red wouldn't be a low volume. Normally low volume, you think of neutrals. So you know, a white, a cream, an ivory, a grey, a pale grey, you know, that sort of, you know, a tan, you know, a beige, that sort of thing is low volume. Things that have got a low tonal value or low intensity of colour. Low volume almost always have so it's not a solid, you know, just like a plain white or a plain ivory. They've almost always got a pattern on them, but it's a self pattern. So like white on whites, or grey on greys, that type of thing. So, and they tend to be mixed. It's all about the mixing of patterns rather than the mixing of colours. Tends to be very subtle. It's not for people who like batiks. It's not maybe their sort of thing. But the thing I really like about it is that, you know, you might be making for a daughter or a daughter-in-law or a sister or something who has a very minimal house and maybe doesn't do a lot of colour, and you've always wanted to make them a quilt, but they don't really do, you know, bright reds and blues and stuff and whatever, or they don't do like American homestead type, you know, antique looking fabrics. They like very clean modern stuff, and this is a way of using traditional patterns but with very gentle subtle colours that can give you that very clean modern look. It doesn't always have to be neutrals as such. A very pale pink or very pale blue or a mint green or a lemon is also low volume, as long as it hasn't got a big pattern, you know, not a big pattern as in a big pattern, hasn't got a contrasting pattern on it. So I've got a couple of examples of some bits that I've played around with. So this is what we're going to do today. Now, Alex might have to really zoom in on this because it is very subtle, okay? It's a very gentle pattern. I think it would be, if you were making a wedding quilt or something like that for somebody, I actually think it would be really pretty on that. And it's this idea of pattern without colour, okay? So we're going to do this block today, this new block today, but we're going to do it in the low volumes. There is no reason, if you don't like low volume, you couldn't do this block. It's all done with a jelly roll, but you could do it with bright colours and stuff. You could do it in those like batiks that we were doing the other day. This is also a little bit of, and you might have seen this before because we've talked about contrast and all before. This is also classed as low volume. Now, this fabric here is kind of almost not low volume, because there's a little bit too much contrast in it. And maybe this one is not low volume, but these, you can add pops of colour, as in a pale one, and it still be a low volume quilt. Am I making sense? I hope I am. Anyway, I haven't even said hello to people. Who's there? Al, anybody there?
So we got hellos from Sheila, Leslie.
Hello, hello.
Jackie and Wendy, Nikki.
Oh, lovely, lovely. Hi, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Are you actually getting us up so you can see comments on there, love, or not?
Well, I can't see comments like new ones pop up on both instantly. I still have to refresh them.
Oh, right, okay.
But
right. Al's going to try his best to keep up your comments. So if you've got any questions or anything about this, please do shout, okay? And we'll try and flip between the two to get your comments and questions. So this is what we're going to do today. And then, like I said, this is another example. This was improv techniques. So I've got improv drunkard's parts in there, improv triangles. I've put lots of different bits together. And this will eventually be a quilt. I've got all the fabrics cut out, just never got around to finishing it, which is typical of me. So, there are any questions or comments there so far? Anybody got anything they want to tell me, or should we just go straight into it? No? No?
Karen said, hello all, just looked as you unpacked your new consignment.
Yeah, the what's in the box stuff earlier. Yeah, there's some pretty stuff there, actually. Yeah, really nice bits and pieces. So anyway, we've had these. This is kind of what sparked this, because I like low volume. I'm not a bright boutique-y girl. I'm a blues girl. I use lots of blues and greens, but I don't tend to use a lot of really like bright rainbow colours. That's Sarah's thing. She does the rainbow. I do the subtle, the monochrome. Monochrome isn't actually, if you think black and white, that's not low volume either, because there's too much contrast in it. So, but we had these come in from Moda, and this is kind of what sparked, this is what I've used to do this, and what we're going to do it in today. This is Whispers, and it's by Studio M, and it's called Whispers, and it's a low volume jelly roll. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, frog in my throat. And you can see it's all these lovely greys and very, very pale silvers, and then creams through to pale creams, and then right the way through to white. And we've got them in jelly rolls and in layer cakes. So you can see this layer cake. It's very subtle, but the patterns are beautiful. You can probably see them best on the grey. You see like jumping jacks, and come here. And you've got like sort of like dotty line, abstract dotty lines, little sort of like tallies with dots, a floral, like a scribble, like a Jackson Pollock type thing, and it goes through, that's lovely, that weave there, okay, and it goes through all the sort of creams and then back up like that right into white. So it is very, very muted, very, very gentle, but if you want to play with low volume, this is an ideal way to start. They might be on the website. I will double check. If not, I'll get them on this afternoon. So I think we've got like 8 of each of them in, so we haven't got very many. But if you do want to have a play around with this idea and this colour palette, or lack of colour palette almost, it's a nice way to do it. So we're going to have a little go at this block here, okay? And I haven't given it a name yet. It was a picture I saw on Pinterest, but it actually had other bits in it as well, and I wasn't keen on the other bits. I like for look, because it was done in bright colours, and I thought actually for low volume I want it to be all about that subtlety. So I've kind of played around with it a little bit. But you will need for each block, I've cut this all out of the jelly roll, you want 4 2.5 by 6.5 inch rectangles. You want 4 2.5 by 4.5 inch rectangles. And you want 4 2.5 by 2.5 inch squares. Okay, and that's in your colours. Okay, and then in your background fabric, which is I'm using white, you want 16 2.5 inch squares. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to add in the coloured fabric, so in this grey, we're going to add, and I'm going to try and do this towards you like this. You want to add a 2.5 inch white. You're right there, lovely. Oh, yeah. Do you go get a tissue? So Alex has had a cold, so he's a bit snuffly today. There we go. We're going to add a 2.5 inch square, white square, background square to each of those. Okay, so I'm just going to put these right sides together. So the block is going to actually, each block has got like a quarter, and the block is going to be made up like that, and we're actually then going to put one other square on the side here like that. So that's kind of the block, and we're going to make 4 of these and then join them together, and then it's going to be cut on the point, and I'm going to show you hopefully how to do that. I've already done a little bit of sewing, so I've done some of my chain piecing ahead of time, and I'm going to have to wait for Alex to come back because I can't move over to the sewing machine until he does. He's just blowing his nose. So there we go, he's back. So we're going to head over to the sewing machine. Okay, I'm going to put this together, and while I'm putting this together, Alex is going to have a look for comments for me. So all I'm doing is putting a 2.5 inch square on the short end of each of those triangles. Triangles? It's not a triangle, that's a rectangle. So I'm going to add that one together, just using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So, anybody having a chat? Has anybody got any questions? Anybody got any comments?
Leslie said, just had my craft store order arrive.
Ah, lovely. Oh, that was good. That's not too bad postage wise then. Lovely. Lovely, lovely. I'm making sure they're right sides together. The only tricky bit with using low volumes is making sure they're right sides together. Ian picked a few there, because when you chain piece in and just pulling away really nicely, yeah, you suddenly realise actually it's quite difficult to see the right and wrong side. So yeah, it's kind of like tip it to the light. Oh yeah, that's the right side. There we go. It's a quick little block this though. It actually comes together really quickly, which is nice, because you can do lots of chain piecing. So any other questions there, love? No? Any comments? Anybody telling me anything? Who's excited for Sewing Bee?
Marilyn said, hi, thanks for yesterday, and the surprise box arrived today.
Brilliant. Lovely, lovely. Glad it's got there. Okay. I'm going to iron all of them towards the coloured fabric, okay? So not onto your 2.5 inch. I'm going to iron them downwards. So you're going to have to talk to me for a little bit because I've got a lot of ironing to do. So I'm going to just make sure that I roll them back and do this. Okay, so I'm holding on to the longer, the coloured piece so that I can roll it back. Okay. So anybody there having a chat? I'll talk to me, please, while I'm doing this. Otherwise, it's going to be very dull if you're just listening to my voice.
Carol says, late again and I can't stay.
Looks
interesting.
Bless you.
We'll watch later.
Yeah, watch later, lovely. But thank you for popping in and saying hello. Okay, so that's because it's done in quarters, obviously you want 4 of each per block. So I've got 4 4.5s with my 2.5s attached, my 4 6.5s with my 2.5 attached, and then I've got 4 2.5s with my 2.5 attached. Anybody else there, Al? Anybody having a chat to me?
Jean says, I've been at a craft class this morning making clay things.
Oh, lovely. Oh, nice that you've been able to get classes. We're not allowed to have classes yet. We've been told not until like June the 21st. So oh, that'd be nice. That was nice going to a class. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to lie one of these quarter blocks out and show you where these other 4 go. Okay, so we're going to go over to here and I'm going to try and lie this out for you. So this is towards you. So I want my biggest one first on the left. There's my middle one, and that's going to line up on the bottom like that. And then I want one of my little ones like that. Now I don't know if these colours are showing up at all on camera. They are. I don't know. That might look exactly the same colour, but that is a pale grey. Okay. I then want to put one of my white 2.5s on this edge here like that. So I'm going to sew that one to here. And you want to make sure it's on the right edge, otherwise it doesn't work. So I'm going to put this right sides together and I'm just going to stitch down here. I don't need to come all the way up, I just need to come off the square. So I'm going to do that. Okay, so I'm going to back over here. Any other questions there?
Refresh?
Yeah, you got to keep refreshing it, love. I don't know why it's gone so funny. Hang on, I'm going to move this over here so I don't get it wrong.
Leslie says, I couldn't find the Celtic pattern from Monday on the website.
The what, sorry?
The Celtic panel, sorry.
The Celtic panels, they are on there, lovely. It's, It's in fabrics fabrics on the bolt, and then if you go into the subcategory which is called Loch Lewis, and then the panels were there. I've had orders come through for them today, so I know they're on the website. Or use the search function and put Highland Lewis panel, I think, in something like that, and it should come up for you. And then that one's going to go on there like that. Just making sure that it is the right way round. And you can't chain piece these because you'd have stitching all the way up there, so you've got to do these individually, these bits. There we go, like that. And then that one's going on there, so right sides together. Any other questions there, Al?
Yeah, Heather asks, any idea how many of these blocks I'll get out of a jelly roll?
I think out of my jelly roll, because I'll show you what I've got left so far. So I've done 6 blocks and I've cut another 7th. I think I can get 16 blocks. I think I'll get 16 blocks out of it. If you come back over here a second. Oh, let me just take that out from under the machine. I was working it out last night, and this is, so I've done 6, 7, and I've still got all of this, so I've got a lot, and I've used some for sashing as well. So you could keep it all for blocks and just use, you know, pale cream or anything, but I think I've got enough for 16 blocks out of a jelly roll. You might get more than that. In fact, you would get more than that. You'd probably get 20 if you used a different sashing. You know, you could just pick a lovely cream or white and white for your sashing. But I was trying to see, but you can see there's absolutely loads left here. Okay, I've got loads and loads. You know, this is all folded over. So yeah, I would say definitely 16, possibly 20, depending on what you use for sashing. I think, if that makes sense. Hopefully that helps. Because these little bits that are left over, sorry Al, these were like on the end, so I cut like lots of 6.5s of the grey. I can get a couple of 4.5s then out of those bits that are left over, you know. And these little bits here, I'll get my, you know, they were folded over because I cut everything folded on the jelly roll. I'll get more 2.5s and all out of these little bits. So yeah, 16 I think is a definite, maybe more depending on your sashing. Hopefully that helps. Any other questions there, Al? I'm just going to iron these out, and I'm ironing them out this time towards this white square. So where this one went to the grey square, this one you want to go out towards your white square. Okay. I will write this pattern up and pop it on the website. I'm going to do them this afternoon. The block keeper and the sewing machine applique tote bag, those are both going on the website this afternoon as well. I've done the special type of digital thing that we've got to do for downloads, and I will put those on as soon as I get back. So if anybody wanted the block keeper that we did on Hachanda, or the sewing machine applique bag, if you wanted the patterns for that, because I know a few people were asking for them, they'll be on by, I say about 4 o'clock. I'll have got those on. So once I've got all these little elements in place, I can start putting this together. First thing first, we're going to do a little quarter like this. We're going to do a quarter of the block, and I'm going to stick that one like that and sew it together, and then I'm going to put one of those on like that. Okay, and I'm going to repeat that so that I've got 4 little quarters. Okay, so let me just put these together. So I want the same 2 together, that one with that one and that one, and then my other pattern is that one and that one, those 2 and those 2. Okay, so I'm going to take those over to the machine. I'm going to keep them in that order so I know what I'm doing, and I'm going to sew the short one to the long one first. And you want to line up the bottom of the grey square. Okay, you want the white squares to be offset, and this is definitely a weeny bit of chain piecing now. I've got it all laid out and I can just go for it. Okay, needle down. So any other questions, comments there?
Yeah, what'll be the size of the final block?
Oh, it comes up at 11 3/4, okay, which I'll show you how to square it up in a moment when we put it all together. Yeah, it comes up at 11 3/4, the block. It's You could add extra sashing and borders on if you needed it, wanted it bigger. I've put sashing in between it, but you don't have to do that actually. You end up with the points sort of coming together quite nicely if you don't, but I wanted to make it a bit bigger, so I decided on some sashing. So, there we go, down there, like that one. And then we're going to have that one on. And then just join these short and long ones. Any other comments or questions there, Al? No?
Heather says 16 to 20 sounds good. A decent sized quilt.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a massive quilt. It's not a... I mean, if you want to make it one for a bed, I would say 2 jelly rolls would be absolutely fine. But you could mix this block. If you went with the jelly roll and a layer cake, you could mix them and do different blocks, like alternate blocks, which might be quite nice as well. Could you use a layer? No, you couldn't quite. Well, you'd get all your... Yeah, you would actually get... Because a layer cake was obviously 10 inches, so you'd get 4 strips, wouldn't you? If you cut them down, so 10 inches down into... so you get 4 lots of 2.5. And the biggest piece is 6.5, so you would get out of a layer cake as well. So you could mix and match out of a layer cake. Okay, so that's those ones, and I want to iron them out towards the smaller piece. So again, all my seams are going the same way. So I'm going to push out like that. Just give it a weeny finger press, and then press that one out. And we're going to do that on all of them. Any other questions there? Anybody got anything they want to ask me? Ask away. Well, you've got me here while I'm doing a bit of ironing. Poor Al's having to keep trying to refresh the comments and trying to make this work. There we go. Right, like that. Has anybody played with low volume? That's the other, other question. Has anybody done a low volume quilt? No, I've muddled them up. There we go. I want those 2 and those 2. And then I'm going to add the small one on like that. So I've got this like step going on. That's going to go on like that. Yeah. I do think if, like my sister Em, she doesn't do colour. Her whole house is grey. It's all very, very pale grey. She doesn't do colour at all. So this is the type of thing that I would probably make for her. In fact, she might get this one when I've done it. Because it's that very sort of muted, subtle, which is much more her style. Ow! That was hot. That was really hot. That's very close. Let me just move that over there. It's quite an overreaction, wasn't it? I'm such a drama queen. Enough of it. There we go. So, any other questions there, love? Comments? Anybody? Are you getting anything?
Yeah, Claire said, Sarah just said 11¾ inches.
Yeah.
I guess that's because the 8-inch measurement will end up on the diagonal. I don't.
Yes. I'm don't know how maths work, but yes, I'm going to go with that. Yes, 11¾ is what it ends up as. Yes. Which I'll show you now. I'll show you about squaring it up, because you do need to square it up because it's like turned on the point on point. I'll show you about squaring it up. Okay, so that's the 4/4 done. I'm just going to iron these out very quickly like that. So again, just give that a gentle finger press so that it's going in the right way, and then finger press it. Do the same on this one. Finger press that one. So, anybody else there having a chat? There we go. We'll keep going.
Not yet.
Not yet, no. Okie doke. There we go. I do apologise if we are missing anyone's comments, because, like I said, we have, for some reason, Facebook has changed something, some algorithm again, something on there, which means we're having to keep refreshing all the time to even get some comments through. I want to lay this out now, okay? So because I've used 2 the same each time, I'm going to lay them out opposite so that they don't touch. You could have them so they touched if you wanted to. You could do it so all these are the same, so it's like a pinwheel, but I didn't. I did 2 different sort of sets in each block. and then that one's going to go in like that. So you can see I'm turning them as I go, and those long ones are all on the inside like that. Okay, so we're going to stitch this one to this one, that one to that one, and then put them together. Okay, there's only one little bit of nesting which I will use a pin for. This is a nice long straight edge, so you don't have to worry about nesting those seams there, but you do want to nest that one there. Okay, and that's why we ironed them a certain way, so that they nested. So that seam there, which is on the very end, you want to just tuck together, make sure those are clicked in nicely. Grab a pin, just pop a pin in there like that, so you can see that one there is going to nest. Okay, so I'm going to do that one, sew these two together. There we go. So I was thinking earlier, God, I really must do some, we do a lot of washing in this house. There's a lot of boys, a lot of towels, all sorts. I thought I really must do some of my washing when this evening, so that I've got stuff to go away with this weekend. And then I was like, I don't need anything. I need pyjamas. I'm a swimming cosy for the hot tub. That's it. Don't really need clothes. Well, obviously I need clothes, but you know what I mean. I don't need many. I need pyjamas. I'm a cosy. Probably, you know, might try and go out for a walk, so you know, a pair of jeans and some trainers. But yeah, I think the plan is to basically stay in PJ days for the whole weekend. And if the weather's as horrible as it looks like it's going to be, it's not even going to be any sitting out on the patio. There we go. So I'm sewing those two halves together, and we're going to iron them in opposite directions, so that centre nests again in a second, like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to iron it out towards the bigger piece of fabric, okay, so that those seams have got a little bit more space, because if I ironed it this way, you're folding all that bulk back on each other. So iron it to the bigger space where you can. Okay, like that. And then I'm going to do the same with this one. So again, I'm going to iron it out to this longer one, like that. And I am actually going to give it a little spray of starch now and a press before I join the whole thing. Okay, because you've got a lot of little pieces in there, and you want it kind of keep it as square as possible. So a good spray of starch, and I use, you know, I use starch a lot. You know, I do it in between lots. You know, this will get another starch when I put the whole thing together as well before I cut it. Okay, but that just helps hold all those seams down nicely. Same with this one. Go like that. Put that one down, and then I'm going to join these together. Okay, and because I ironed them both towards that longer piece, my seams are going in opposite directions there, which means they'll nest nicely. So that's going to go right sides like that. Nest that center point there. So kind of tuck that in, make sure that that's right. Pop a pin in. Like that. And again, on these bottom edge here, either end, none of the rest nests, but on that bottom edge there, that will nest. So again, I'm just going to make sure that that goes in like, come on, that, tuck those in, nest that one, and again, grab another pin on this corner here. So I'm going to nest that seam and that seam, so they click in like that. That one's behaved beautifully. And then we're going to stitch all the way down. And the block's nearly done, apart from the cutting down, which is our next bit. So, any other comments there, lovely? Anybody got anything to tell me?
Heather asked if they could post a quilt for long arming next week.
Absolutely, yeah, please do. It's still about an 8 to 10 week waiting list at the moment. Because as soon as we get rid of a few, we get more in. But yes, absolutely. If you've got quilts there you want done, get them to us, and they go in the pile. You know, I don't say a pile, but you know, they go into the rotation, and then we work in date order. So the sooner you get them to us, the quicker they go in the pile. So yes, absolutely, pop them in the post. There we go. Okie doke. Right, last little bit of ironing, then we can square him up. Not sure what I'm going to call this one. don't know. It's got kind of a log cabin-y feel, I feel, because it's all the different lines and everything. Oh, actually, that was something I was going to say. I'm going to do you remember we do that little trick when we do 4 patches where we take out the couple of little stitches? That actually works quite nicely on this as well because of the amount of bulk you've got going on. So I'm just taking out those couple of little stitches there, just on that seam, like that. Okay, and then my seam, ooh, that's a bit, ooh, I'm pushing it there, that fabric moved. Then I can open that out and make this go either way. So that one there is going to go that way, like that. And that one there, oh, I should probably re-sew that one, but I'm not going to do it now. It moved a little bit, and that light will lie nice and flat in the centre. That's a very, very scant 1/4 of an inch seam allowance on that one. More like a scant 1/8 of an inch. My fabric moved a weeny bit as I was sewing. Okay, so you have something that looks like this. Okay, and now we're going to square it up. Okay, so let me grab my square. Any questions though? Just want to get in prepping this. No? Don't worry if there isn't, lovely.
Colleen says late to the live stream, but we'll watch.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, you can always catch up. They do eventually go onto YouTube, and they obviously stay on our Facebook page as well. So the thing we're looking for is this little point here. Okay, where that grey hits the white. So these points here, and you want them. You're going to trim it off a 1/4 inch away. So I'm going to lie the 1/4 inch line of my ruler up on these points. Okay, so I'm going to do that like that and make a first cut like that. So I don't know if you can see that, but I don't know if you'll see through. But my 1/4 inch line is right on those points. Okay. And I'm going to cut off that excess like that. Pop it in your crumb quilting. Okay. I'm then going to turn it 90 degrees, and I'm going to do the same down this edge here. Okay. Now again, looking for those points, looking for those 1/4 inches like that, there, there and there. And I'm also going to just double check that that's nice and horizontal against that line that I've just cut, which it is. Okay, so I'm going to cut those ones off like that. There we go. And now I've got 2 nice straight edges. I'm now going to measure the 11 3/4. So it's 11 3/4 here and 11 3/4 there. And just double check that that's correct, which it is. I've got so much glue on this ruler, I really need to wash it off because it keeps sticking to the fabric. And what I'm looking for now is, now that that's on the 11 3/4 and 11 3/4, is that my 1/4 inch is hitting those points, which it is, which I'm happy with that. Okay, so it's right. I don't know if you can get right up close on this one. I don't know if you can, you'll be able to see this, but can you see that now I've got my 11 3/4 and 11 3/4 on that point there? It's hitting the 1/4 inch, and it's doing that across top and bottom. Can you just see that? I don't know if it's showing up or not, but that's what you're looking for. Okay, so mind yourself out. I'm going to go up there like that and across the top like that. Okay, and that's now squared up. And like I said, it's, you know, it's not a usual 12.5 inch block or anything like that. It's a slightly unusual size. It's going to end up at 11 1/4 once you've joined them in. Now you could absolutely put these all on point. And what I mean by that is you could then have them in the quilt so they sit that way round. Okay, and you put setting triangles in like that so they sit that way in the quilt. Or like I've done up here, I've kept them square on because I quite liked that, and I'm just going to put sashing in between them. Okay, so yeah, that's it. That's the block. I'll work out a name for it. Can't decide what to call it. Can't decide what I'm going to call it. If you've got a suggestion, name my block for me. Pop a thing in the comments for me, and I'll have a read later when I get back over to the shop on the laptop and I can see all the comments properly. If you've got a name for it, let me know. So, but I genuinely love this look of fabric as well. This low volume. It kind of appeals to me, that very, very subtle feeling to it. Don't get me wrong, I like a bit of colour, but it tends to be blues and greens. But I quite like the look of it, the overall look. It's something a little bit different, which always does appeal to my my constantly changing fickleness of taste. So any questions or comments there? Can I talk anybody through any else of it, or?
Heather says, I love this block, might get jelly roll.
Yeah, and I might actually do one up in this block in bright colours as well. Maybe pop a sample on so you can see. I think it would work really, really well in normal coloured fabrics as well. I haven't got any jelly roll strips here, otherwise I could just lay them out for you. But I think you could really play around with the colour placement, you know, so if this was brights and every, you know, like full on pattern, you know, you could do this double, you know, where they're opposites, or they could all, the long ones could all be the same and the short ones could all be the same, and then those little diddy ones there could be the, you know, you could really play around with it, or you could make it completely scrappy, you know, just cut 2.5 inch, you know, pieces out of all your fabrics and make it really scrappy. And I think I quite like this sort of stepped look and everything. So it's almost like they're kind of woven-y type thing. I don't know. Anybody come up with a name? Anybody naming my block for me?
Leslie says, looks like a snowflake.
Oh yeah, it does kind of, doesn't it? It's particularly in these colours, yeah. Yeah, you've got kind of that, like, you know, oh, actually, you've got, oh, there's something you could play with as well. If you did these all in the same colour, but these ones different, it kind of follows on round the block. Like it goes under that one and under that one. You know, it's almost like interlocking. There's a square and all in there, isn't there?
Celtic knot.
Like a Celtic knot type thing, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, have a little play with it. Lots and lots of ideas. You know, you might have a low volume-y type thing you've done. If you have, post us a picture if you've ever played with low volume stuff. I know Sara made the most beautiful, there's a company called Washed and Worn. We see them at a lot of the shows, and she does like old like men's shirting and you know, like winsettes and things like that, but really sort of gentle, like vintagey type colours, you know. And Sara made the most beautiful baby quilt, I think when Erin was born, when her first grandchild was born, in those fabrics, and they were beautiful because it was this all very, very subtle, very, very gentle colours. So any other questions or comments there?
Wendy says, lovely block. Thank
Cool.
you both.
No problem. Thank you, thank you. Sarah will be back tomorrow, and then there's nothing got, the shop's shut on Friday and Monday, so there's no 1 o'clock on Monday, so I will see you Tuesday next week, Wednesday next week for me. So yeah, have a lovely weekend. You know, think of me, you know, sipping my gin in my hot tub. You know, I hope that none of you are jealous at all. And yeah, hopefully we'll be back much rested next week. But yeah, tune in tomorrow for Sarah. She's got a charger tidy to show you. So if there's no other questions there, Al, no? Nothing
Kate
else there?
says, I really love this block.
Lovely.
So.
No other questions there. I'm going to love you and leave you guys, and have a lush weekend, and I'll see you Tuesday. Bye.